Hello everybody and welcome. In this video I will be going over the raw material output that it was a requested video. I said I would make it. I searched for several days trying to find any external third-party utility or script or anything. Whoever requested the function and feature added to Litematica is holding it close to the vest. I've tried several websites that you can upload files to get a raw material list, things of that nature. I was unable to find anything that could actually read these JSON files. So I created this small schematic here. It's got a bed, an anvil, and some planks. Nothing special. And if I go into the material list, you can see I just have these items here. And then the raw material list, let me bring up the folder itself. And we can see I'm just going to click the raw material list button once, and what it'll do is it's going to generate 3 files. It's going to have the detailed recipe, the steps, and then simplified. For any lay user who is not using any external third-party program or anything like that, the simplified is going to be the easiest to read. But let's go ahead and open up the detailed, and here it is. You can see that it kind of gives you the shaped recipe. In my mind, it does a poor job of it because you have, this is for the anvil, and here's the supposed shape of it. In the iron blocks, there's 3 of them. That would be the first 3 slots on the top row of the 3x3 grid. The next row would be an empty space, iron ingot, empty space, but it doesn't represent the empty spaces. So in my mind, it doesn't do the greatest job of representing the shaped recipe in a 3x3 grid. And some of the other items, like you go down here and you can see there's iron ingots, the quantity of them. Then you have the iron block, there's 3 of them. And then the recipe to make the iron block. So a 3x3 grid, that one's obviously represented correctly. And then the total count of iron ingots required, 27 to make the 3 iron blocks. Continuing down, you've got the oak planks, and it should break it down to, I believe, yeah, right here, it shows oak logs. You need 3 of them to get you would get 12 planks. You need 9 of them for this schematic specifically. Then the bed, and it does break it down into the black wool and planks, and then it goes even further. You got the black wool, and it breaks it down. You need dye plus the wool. Even further down here, I believe it shows white wool, and you can craft the wool with 4 string in a 2x2 grid, 1 in each slot. It's not that difficult to understand if you kind of you know the back end and how these JSON files are scripted, the syntax. So let's go ahead and open up one of I'll go ahead and the simplified, and it is a little more user-friendly to read. So iron block, you need 3 of them. Anvil, it says result total 2. That is incorrect because I only have 1 anvil in the schematic. I don't know where that number comes from. Then iron ingots, there's 4, and that's for crafting the anvil, I'm assuming. So it doesn't give it a better, the greatest itemized list. One thing to note, let's go ahead and minimize these so they're not over top of the program. For whatever reason, I don't know what happened. If I hold down Shift, as it's saying here in the overlay, when I mouse over the button and click the button, it's getting an exception, and I cannot export the missing raw material list. Fortunately, I was able to do this back whenever it was still functional. I don't know what happened, but every version I tested from 1.27 up through the newest, it no longer works. So either the code's been stripped out so that it's no longer functioning, I'm not sure. I don't know what schematic this is because it doesn't give you those details in any of these raw material export, but this is a pretty large schematic. It's probably my storage system that I've made videos on before. and it breaks down everything. It gives you the shaped material list. And this is for anything that's missing, not placed in the schematic, I'm assuming. Without functionality, I can't test it to its full potential. Yeah, it's a very big schematic, lots of files. Let me just, yes, you can't read any of that. I know I'm scrolling really quickly, but it breaks it down, gives you all of the missing materials and the recipes required for like oak trapdoor. Yeah, again, the shaped recipe does not do any justice. There should be plank, plank, space, plank, plank, space, plank, plank, space to make a door, obviously. Or space, plank, plank, just because it's shaped, but if you've crafted a door, you know how the recipe. I'm not going to leave you empty-handed here, okay? Let me go ahead and shrink this out of the way. That is as much as there is to really know about the raw material list, the file output. If you hold down the Alt key, it will prioritize crafting recipes over stonecutter recipes. So if you have, say, stone brick in your build, it will, I don't know if that just goes by sort order or what, because I've got so many schematics and I've tested this 1,000 times over. I've spent days searching for information. I've come up short, unfortunately. There is a program that I found a long time ago that you can use, third party. It's external from the actual Minecraft launcher and anything like that. It's S2RM or Schematic 2 Raw Materials. What you can do with this is you can open up a schematic. So if you just click the drop files here, or you can just drag and drop your files over. And this very schematic I have loaded in this world. It's just called Raw Material List. I'm gonna go ahead and open it. It opens up pretty quickly. And if I click on process, it's gonna process the schematic and give me the total number of items required to craft those other items. So 4 oak logs. It doesn't break down wool to string to craft the wool, because you can shear it off of sheep. You can either gather it or craft it, so it omitted one side or the other. It just depends on what you're dealing with. Now you can see that the collected checkboxes here are red. The default for this, it launched in dark mode for me. I don't know if that is by design. Now, I don't know if you can see this based on your lighting level of your display. I've got all 4 of them checked right now. I can tell that they're checked, but for my lighting, because the bright whites hurt my eyes, I can barely see that check. You can switch off of dark mode, and then you can see it a little bit better. I prefer dark mode on most everything I run, just because eye strain. I like to keep it darker. Now let's open up caveat. If you open up multiple schematics, I've found that it kind of keeps previous data in it for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on in the back end there. But it's not updated beyond 1.21.5, where the name change of iron chains were done. So if I open up one of my schematics that have iron chains in it, let's see, this one here, and I try to do the process, it fails at line like 201 because there's iron chains there listed, and it can't process any further because it can't parse through the entire file. And then I tried to open up a different schematic, and it kept failing on the chain, even though I knew there was no chain in that other schematic. So understand, just click clear if you're opening up a different schematic, just to save yourself some headache. Let me find a very large schematic. Give me a moment here. Okay, this is a pretty big schematic, multiple chunks. I'm choosing this one because to show that it's going to take it a little bit to open. I can't see my mouse because I'm not capturing it, unfortunately, but the hourglass has popped up and it says that the app is not responding, which you can't see because it's not capturing that portion of the window. And it's going to take it there we go. It finally processed the entire thing, and you can see there are only 4 different block type in the schematic. And then if I click on process, that happens rather quickly, and you can see the breakdown of all of the materials you would need to craft these other blocks for your build. And to go back to the program itself, this is the schematic that I just opened up in the Litematica Raw Material. There are only 4 block types in it, and you can see it is pretty large. Now, I'll leave a link in the description for the Litematica Raw Material if that is your goal, if that's what you were after, to know how to get to the raw material list. Unfortunately, with the output from Litematica itself, I was unable to find any usable script or program to take advantage of those files other than just open them up in a regular text editor. Notepad++ is what I use, or just standard Notepad from Windows or your operating system text file reader. That is it. That's all for this video. I do thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and you have a great day.